Yamunatiravanachat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, Jaya Shila Prabhupada. Shila Prabhupada ki, Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki. Thank you all for coming. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, 18th chapter, verse 59. Stays there? It's on the board? Yep. Yadahankaram ashritya. Yadahankaram ashritya. Nayotsya iti manyase. Nayotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakristvam niyokshati. Prakristvam niyokshyati. Yadahankaram ashritya. Nayotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakristvam niyokshati. Prabhu's. Yadahankaram ashritya. Nayotsya iti manyase. Prakristvam niyokshati. Yadahankaram ashritya. Nayotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakritistvam niyokshati. Yadahankaram ashritya. Na yotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakritistvam niyokshati. Mataji. Yadahankaram ashritya. Na yotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakritistvam niyokshati. Na yotsya iti manyase. Mityaisha vyavasayaste. Prakritistvam niyokshati. Word for word by translation. Yat, if. Ahankaram, of false ego. Ashritya, taking shelter. Na yotstye, I shall not fight. Iti, thus. Manyase, you think. Mitya, mityesha, this is all false. Vivyasaya, determination. Te, your. Prakritihi, material nature. Tvam, you. Niyokshati, will engage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Purport. Arjuna was a military man and born of the nature of the Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur in sinful reactions. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take direction from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the Spiritual Master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupa Sagrachatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivisakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamamya Ripriya Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva-cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for coming. I found it a very interesting verse. I will read it again. So 1859. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. So basically, I like to do in preparing for a lecture. I like to read 2-3 times the verse and try to catch what it tells to me, or if there are some questions that comes up in my mind, or what is the point that really stuck with me. And surely, it's very clear that Krishna is saying to Arjuna that he has a certain nature, and he's telling him to fight, and he's been telling him since the beginning of the conversation. Yeah, so as we know, Bhagavad-gītā is the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and Arjuna is there in the battlefield, and he's ready to start this warfare against his grandparents, his relatives, his teachers. But somehow, when he sees these very affectionate people, even though they did so many mischievous things against him, he feels that he cannot really fight. He has so many reasons why, and he tells him at the beginning of the first chapter and the beginning of the second to Krishna, and the whole Bhagavad-gītā is Krishna explaining from different points of view, from the points of karma yoga, from the points of bhakti yoga, from many other different points, why instead Arjuna should fight. And here we are at the end of Bhagavad-gītā, and Krishna has the 18th chapter. There's much of the summary of what he already been telling for the first 17th chapter, and yet in this moment he says, anyway, I've been telling you to fight in so many different ways, giving you so many different reasons, but anyway, by your nature, anyway you will fight anyway. And this I found it, wow, this is quite interesting. And 2 questions came up in my mind. And I was speaking with Sanjay Prabhu, who is here on the altar, and he got an interesting thought on that, but I will explain later. So the first question was like, okay, why Krishna is telling this now to Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad-gītā? So why didn't he tell him at the beginning? Yeah, like he could have said, okay, Arjuna, you have this problem, you don't know whether to fight or not, and you have so many reasons, this and that, but I know you, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I'm your friend, and of course this is your nature, and you cannot do anything that engage in warfare, so you will do it anyway, so why bother even to have this question? I would say, okay, why Krishna is asking just now something like the action that Arjuna is going to perform anyway? Does anybody have some thought on this question? First of all, is it clear, the question? Yeah, okay. Does somebody have some thoughts? Yeah.
Because he was very merciful, and he let Arjuna ask those questions, and go on with the thoughts of constant development.
Nice. So you're saying, I will also say it again because we don't have the second microphone, and so I will paraphrase. So Subal Prabhu is saying that Krishna is so merciful that he let Arjuna speak his own mind and ask different questions, and also for the benefits of himself, and of course, I guess also for the benefits of all of us. Yeah. Does somebody has another point? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Sushmita Mataji is saying that Krishna wanted somehow to Arjuna to come to the conclusion to fight by a conscious kind of decision, by a conscious thought process. Yeah, that's why he got all the way till the 17-18 chapter, the whole Bhagavad-gītā. It's very interesting. Yes. Somebody else? Yeah.
I think Arjuna already asked this question multiple times to Krishna, also as a friend, not just Bhakta and Bhagavan. And Krishna just repeated the answer over and over again, so that he understands this perfectly. And even if he doesn't understand, he can just rely on Krishna, and Krishna will take all the responsibility of his actions. So first he can take the responsibility himself, and if he's not capable of that, in the end he can give everything to Krishna.
Okay, so you're saying that Krishna is making Arjuna think, and he gave so many explanations, and Arjuna is saying so many questions, so that he can take up the responsibility of his own decision. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting also. Yeah, I think very, very valid, very valid answers. And then the second question that I have is also like, why is Krishna is somehow preaching for the whole Bhagavad-gītā, yeah, about how to rise above your karma. You have Arjuna has his own karma, of course, it's a kshatriya, as he said. Prabhupada is the first thing that he says also in the purport. But spirituality is all about transforming ourselves, yeah, to really go above this karma, this mechanical process that keeps us bind, and here this material nature. So, and Krishna of course presents different yoga processes and different way how to rise above this karma. So why then is hinting something like, okay, you know what? Anyway, whatever you think you can decide, you cannot do much about it because it's still instilled in your nature. And so you're doomed and forced anyway by your nature to act in a certain way. So why then he's preaching so much about taking up on these spiritual processes, yeah, of transforming, getting out of his karma? So was it the question understandable? Yeah, does somebody has some thoughts on it? Yes.
From what I understand, there are certain prarabdha karma, there are certain things in your own nature that you're bound to do, but you can get out of it and choose not to go with your prarabdha karma. So perhaps Krishna is pointing in that direction, saying, okay, you have a certain nature, being a kshatriya, you have a certain dharma, but you can also choose not to do that.
So you're saying that Krishna is pointing out, okay, you have a certain nature, but first you realize that you have this nature, and by being conscious about that, then you can also rise above. Yes. Okay, good point. Yeah. Somebody else has a thought? Yeah. So I will go through the class. I hope it doesn't take much. I will see what is the answer that I got, that I think I found somehow in the research, and then we can see how if you relate with it or not, and how it gets with it. So what I really like when I get study into a verse, this really helps me to connect more with Prabhupada, and I love to read the purport and to try to really understand it deeply. What I try to do is to paraphrase. So I read one sentence, and I try to say it again, but with my own words. And I find it very powerful, because then I feel, okay, it gets much more deeper. And it was something that I wanted to do it here quite quickly. So Arjuna was a military man and born of the nature of the kshatriya. Yeah. So the Prabhupada is immediately saying, okay, Arjuna has a certain acquired nature. Yeah. And therefore his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather and friends, he would incur a sinful reaction. So here, Prabhupada is pointing out very clearly the false identification with his body, and due to having this temporary, due to identify himself with this temporary identity, so with the body, then fear rise, and he thinks that he would incur in sinful reaction. So this misidentification then brings him to fear. Yeah, And this is something that Krishna already pointed out at the beginning. When we get above of we understand that we are not the body, and we get above of these gunas and material nature, then there is no fear, when there's complete shelter on Krishna. So, and then he keeps on, Prabhupada keeps on. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work. He forgot, well, in this, also in this, here it tells about the identification, and when we identify with the body especially, we have the tendency to see ourselves as the doers. So the one who does the action, and so we think that by how we decide how to act, we can decide the result. So through the action of fighting or not fighting, he thought that he could decide the fate also of who was in front of him. But Krishna also showed him already in the universal form, and when he showed his form as time, that all the people that were there in the battlefield were already dead. So Krishna also already decided all the fate of all the people. But somehow when we identify to ourselves, then we think we can influence somehow totally much more than we actually have the power to, the result. And Krishna also said, Karmani eva dikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma pala heturbur mate sangostva karmani. It's a very famous verse that he says, you have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of them. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your actions, and never be attached to not doing your duty. This is Bhagavad-gītā, 2nd chapter, 47. And here it's clearly saying that you never consider yourself to be the one who influenced the results. And because the results belongs to, who does the results belong to? Krishna, yes. Because the results all belong to Krishna. And he is the one sanctioning also every action. And so he wants Arjuna just to act as an instrument for his own will. So continuing on, he forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. So we always, or I always forget somehow that the results belong to Krishna, but and it's also a tendency of us in the material world, but somehow Arjuna has the amazing opportunity to have in front of him, just in his eyes, the person that has to whom the results belong, yeah. But still, he somehow forgot, or more to say, Krishna illusioned him to forget his eternal relationship with him, his sambandha, and then, so in this way, we forget about his relationship, and then we don't somehow listen anymore to him from within, to understanding what is good and what is bad. And here Prabhupada advised just to act in Krishna consciousness to get to the direction of perfection of life. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of God or the order of the Spiritual Master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. Here I also see, safe under all circumstances. I felt he was making correlation with the fear, yeah. So when one take, as I said before, when one take really shelter of the Supreme Personality of God, then he knows that the results belong to him, and I just have to act on. I just want to align myself with the will of the Lord, and by this I'm not getting affected, and I'm not so. I'm not having this identification with the body that makes me fear also. So, and when one is feels safe, it means that it's out of fear. Yeah. When one is fearful, then it doesn't feel safe. Yeah. So this was more or less, I found it a very complete purport of Prabhupada, of course. But I wanted to speak more on the nature. So answering a little bit of the second question, was it? Yes, on the second question, which I want to remind, why is he preaching the whole Bhagavad-gītā? So to rise above our karma, transforming, while the whole purpose of spirituality is to transform ourselves, yeah? And so though we cannot really change we are born with some psychophysical nature, yeah, and some certain tendencies, some certain inclination. Anyway, we do have the free will, yeah. So our own psychophysical nature is just makes the limitation of our free will, and it's not covering the free will. So if we make an example of comparing our body with a machine, which is actually something that Krishna himself will do 2 verses after in text 61, where he says, when he calls the body yantra. A yantra is a machine, and it's a Vedic machine. And so we compare our body to a car, and our nature as the car's basic capacity and functionality. For example, we can get a Fiat. Does everybody know a Fiat? So a Fiat is like a small car, especially if it's a Cinquecento, like in Italy. And you can compare that with a racing car, for example, a BMW that runs very fast, or a Mercedes or so. And you can see how if you are a Fiat, you cannot really think of speeding up like a BMW or like a racing car. No matter how much you train yourself, no matter how much of endeavors you do, you're just limited by that. But that doesn't mean that you cannot choose 2 important things. And one thing is that how we drive our car. So we are into this car, we are into this Fiat, and if we are on a drome and we are to try to race against this racing car, then of course we're going to lose, no matter the endeavors. But still, we can decide on a daily basis how to drive the car. So in a good way, carelessly, recklessly, or in a safe way, or an intelligent way, and also where to drive the car. So do we have to be on a highway, try to speeding up against the others, or maybe like if I am in the city, I'm smaller, I'm just more agile, I can park wherever, and it's much more easier than a big car, for example, on a racing car. So we can go, for example, towards home or going away from it when we decide where to drive the car, yeah. So and also we can decide not to become a passive passenger and just like put the auto drive on and just let the car goes whatever place that we may actually not want to go. So it's also important not to compare ourselves with other cars, yeah. And this is something that in the society happens a lot with all this advertisement there's always this thing of comparing and always try to see, this person has this amazing product, so he will enjoy so much, and there's all this advertisement that makes you comparing with who is in the picture and wants you to also buy these products, yeah. And this of course leads to some low self-esteem that we want to or some feeling of insatisfaction that we want to fill it with some buying, with consuming, or with objectives that are actually not fulfilling finally for ourselves, but these all creates all these desires. So instead of comparing ourselves, instead of we are a tractor and we still want to speed up and try to be in the highway, maybe we can just go out of the highway, which is the let's say easy, or like the paved way from the society, let's say, or the social pressure, the family pressure that one has, But maybe like just looking at some different places, if you go off the road, maybe you would find just easy how you're racing much better than you're doing much better than a racing car when you are in the countryside, for example. Yeah, and this would have much into self-satisfaction and some basic self-understanding of who we are. Otherwise, we're always going to bump into incompatible situations. It's like when I think anybody has already tried to write with the left hand, or who is left-handed to write with the right hand. And it always some kind of feel very, very strange, and you are always slow, and you need so much effort to write, just your name, and it always the result at the end is very lousy, is very poor generally, yeah. And this is exactly the experience when we are not acting within our dharma, and we're acting outside of our dharma. So something somehow feels always off, and it cannot really give us the real satisfaction. Albert Einstein once said this very interesting sentence: everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's just stupid. So, and this really summarized this point of there's no really point on. We really need to go to our self-understanding of who we are and what are our inclinations, and try to thrive within those, and not goes on some other paths. Yeah, and this reminds me much also of myself in my secular education. I was quite good, always with the marks, and I always having this false ego wanting to being good, to show up to be good. So somehow I was always endeavoring to get some good marks, but I was always baffled on this mechanical test that would always come to the classes, and I would see so many other people that may have some amazing other abilities like social skills, or very good at talking, very logical inclined, but yet they would get very bad marks, and I would pass on for the great guy, and the other ones not really. While I could really feel myself that I was actually envying some other classmates that maybe were not so successful, but still they had some amazing qualities. Yeah, so yeah. So somehow I was managing to understand what the teacher was always saying in the own lecture, like, okay, you have to do just this, and then in the test you just repeat the same things without using much brain, and somehow you just that, yeah. And this is like this is just a proof that when we have some kind of way of testing things, or of evaluating things that are just standard, or just take on one own nature, then it's very easy to get frustrated and to not really understand who we are. So to gain more self-understanding, we need to look at ourselves in a calm way. We cannot be overthrown by emotions, because otherwise it's very difficult to go deeper into ourselves. Yeah, so there's the importance to detach a bit ourselves, to watch how we act, and to try to be more of the observer of what is going on. So one thing that really helps is self-irony. Self-irony is to not take ourselves too seriously. Remind ourselves that we are playing a role. We are on one of 100,000 lives, and there's not so much need of getting too entangled and to always let our consciousness absorbed into whatever dealings. Yeah. So of course, whatever we do, like we're acting in this life, and we are playing. We have different duties, and they are very important, and also our dharma is also very important. But still, we can always take the position of observing also ourselves, and try to see what are our patterns, and try to get better into it. So, and this also gives us some resources to face different triggers and different life situations that usually actually get us very emotional, and make us commit some mistakes, or commit some actions that then we may regret. Yeah. On another side, I wanted to speak about Srila Baladeva Vidyabhusana, which writes also an amazing translation of the Bhagavad-gītā, and he makes a very interesting point. So I would read his translation. If influenced by false ego, of the same verse, yeah? So if influenced by false ego, you think I will not fight, that resolve is useless. My prakriti will engage you in fighting. And then he explains, if you take shelter of false identity, thinking that you know what is right and wrong, and contemplate I will not fight, such resolve will definitely not bring results. Prakriti, my Maya, transformed as the mode of passion, will engage you, who have ignored my words, in fighting anyway, which will cause killing of gurus and brahmanas. So what he says here, and which I really love this part, I find that it gives even more shades of meaning, is that he calls my prakriti, so my material nature, the modes of material nature, which are controlled by me, because this is just my energy, on the mode of passion, will come upon you and will make you anyway perform the action. So either you can do it by following my order, or the mode of passion will also make sure that you will fight anyway. So he gives, so he will say, either you follow my order from Krishna, or you're being forced to follow order of lower nature. Yeah. So this is makes us also see how, when we follow Krishna advice, when we understand deeply the principles of the scriptures, then we may perform the same actions. And in this case, Arjuna was compelled to fight, so to perform the action of fighting. But if he would have followed Krishna, if he would follow with the consciousness of, okay, Krishna is telling me here to fight, and I want to please Krishna, and I want to do it for Krishna, then this brings elevation of his consciousness. While if he refuses at that moment, the same action, he would be bound anyway to perform the same action, but through the mode of passion, because anyway he's a kshatriya, he's a warrior, he's a fighter, and kshatriya has this nature of justice, of wanting to of justice, let's say, that. And when they get when they get offended, and also they offend somebody dear to them, then the passion really comes up very quickly, and they need to act. They are compelled to act. So, but this action then would be from the mode of passion, from this identification with the body, and so the same action instead will be degrade in self, because it's in the mode of passion, and this will be sinful action. Yeah. So we're talking about the same action, but by following Krishna order, with this consciousness of following Krishna order, this would elevate the consciousness. But when it's performed out of the mode of passion, so out of his identification, or by his identification with the body, with his affection from his relatives or other people, by being offended, then this is a sinful reaction. Then the sinful reaction will incur on him. So I had another question that is at a certain point. So eventually, was it necessary for Krishna to preach for 17 chapters to fight if he was going to do it anyway? And this I just answered in this last point that I wanted to make, that Krishna, so he is going to fight anyway, but Krishna really wants, and he's saying different types it's taking this fighting from different angles, because he really wants Arjuna to do it in the proper consciousness. And this is the whole point of why Krishna then is advising many different types of yoga, many different types of solution. But it is very, if one does an actions in the proper consciousness, then it's liberating. Yeah. And And this is why he tells him to surrender, and surrender means to follow his order, yeah, which can be coming from within. But Arjuna has this great luck. Well, it's not luck also because he's a great personality, to have Krishna right in front of him, and he would tell him personally the order. So, and all he's asking Krishna is to surrender, so to do it for his sake, and possibly with love, and this is the path of bhakti, yeah, with devotion. And so here he gets us to the teaching that when we are ready to surrender, and then we work in that consciousness, this is bhakti yoga. But when we first work and then we surrender the result, we give the results to Krishna, this is nishkama karma yoga. And which is very good, and this leads us also to purify ourselves, and it leads also ultimately to bhakti in proper consciousness. But this is not what we really. This is not pure bhakti yoga, so to say. Yeah. So the work has to be also in the mood of surrender. Yeah, and not only the result of the action. So. Just to conclude, I want to go back to the two questions, to wrap it up. So the second question was why he is preaching the whole Bhagavad-gītā about how we have to rise above our karma, and how we should be transforming ourselves. But then on the other side is hinting that you have this nature which you are compelled to follow, and you're doomed and forced by the modes of material nature to act in this way. So this I felt it was I tried to answer it through this example of the car that we made. Yeah, this one we have some certain psychophysical nature, but this only gives us some certain kind of limitation of our free will, but it's not covering totally our free will. So we still have the free will, and the key point is to understand how to use our own car effectively, and possibly as an instrument for Krishna. Krishna has given us some certain abilities, and everybody of us has some certain abilities, without trying to compare ourselves to others, because, I don't know, the other person is singing so nicely, or this other person is doing so amazing actions. We need more to try to self-understand, to go deeper into ourselves, and try to perceive what we are good at and what we can offer to Krishna. He's given us our abilities to offer them back to Him in love and devotion. Yeah. And the other question, the first question was why Krishna is telling this now to Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad-gītā. Why didn't he tell him at the beginning, along with the different answers that he gives to Arjuna about at the beginning of the second chapter? And what I thought, it was like, I was thinking, okay, if I was let's say I have a friend, yeah, and I'm stressed about something, and shall I accept a job which gives me more Lakshmi, which gives me more money, and maybe some good assets, a possibility of becoming an entrepreneur maybe on the future. So it gives me much freedom on a job basis, or shall I keep the same job and maybe keep the same place? Maybe in this other job that I accept, I would have to go in another place. Yeah, and the fact of staying in this place where I have this current job. It's good for, if I have a family, it's good for my kids. It gives me some certain facilities. It gives me security. I already know the place, so certain comfort also. So there are I have this big decision to make, whether to accept the job, maybe in going on another place, and on the other side, maybe it has some other kind of benefits. Yeah. And I would like to act properly, to decide in a good way. So I would go to this friend of mine, and I would ask him, okay, what do you think? Shall I accept this job or shall I not accept this job? Shall I fight or shall I not fight? Yeah. And imagine if if the friend would come to me and would tell me, look, anyway, you're just going to accept the job anyway because you're a Vaishya. Vaishya type of people are they always want to expand, and they somehow they want to earn nicely, and they're very good with economics, and they have this thing of expanding on point. So he would say to me, look, you have anyway this nature, and you're going to do it anyway. What do you think, how that can make me feel? So I would have to have this two options: accept the job or not accepting the job. Accepting the job would give me surely more money and gain some other kind of possible good assets for entrepreneur. And then the other one, it will keep me on the same place, but maybe it's good for the kids because they have already some certain friends. They have, I have some other facilities, this and that. I have so I have these two options. So how does it would make me feel if somebody, I would ask from advice to a friend, a dear friend, and he would tell me, look, anyway, you have a Vaishya type, so you're going to do it anyway to accept the job. Yes? Was it, sorry, is it clear? Yeah? Okay. Yes?
Maybe it would make you feel reduced to your current dharma, because there might be the need in you to inquire more or to maybe do some experiments with doing other jobs and not just follow your
national instincts.
Mm-hmm. So you say that this will make, so it would be, reducing, you said reducing who I am, which I'm a person, and will just like put me a label on myself, like, okay, you are just something, and so you would reduce me in a kind of like a machine, let's say, that it would act in a certain way because of just some nature.
Yeah, it would not close the case very fast. It was not just open, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sushmita Mataji?
How you would feel depends on how aware you are of your own prakriti, like you just now mentioned. If you are aware of your prakriti, that yes, I am a person who likes to earn money, who I have to earn money for my family, then you will say, yeah, you are my friend, you know me well, and what you say is correct about me.
Yeah.
But if you are somebody who is not aware of that, might feel bad that, oh, you're my friend, but you are telling me I'm greedy for money. You might feel bad if somebody tells you any which ways you're going to select a job which pays you more. So you might feel bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That's a very good. But if I was Arjuna, I think I'm thinking as Arjuna. Yeah, Arjuna for sure knows very well that he's a kshatriya, and for sure he has this instinct of fighting. But since he's so good-hearted, also he cannot stop himself from feeling not real compassion, but material compassion for his relatives and teachers. Yeah, so somehow he knows his nature, but there are some other factors that are very much making him confusion and indecision. Yeah. So what I thought is, if one just comes to me and tell me, like, okay, you're just a Vaishya, you're just a Kshatriya, and you will do it anyway, then I would feel, okay, this is not so nice, like, have you really thought of the different factors of accepting this job or not accepting the job? Did you take them into consideration, or just what is good for me, like maybe I'm not really thinking just for me, but maybe what is also good for my family. This is also very important for me, even more important than myself. Yeah, so I would feel it's a bit insensitive. That's what I would feel. So and Krishna is a friend, is a very dear friend of Arjuna. So, and as he said also, it would be just way too short. Like, it doesn't really feel that one would really try to help you in a wholesome way, but more of try to give a quick fix. Yeah. So instead, Krishna goes through so many different multiple options, and he really show that he knows well what are his different options and what Arjuna is thinking, and where are the problem on the way of his thinking, and that he's also taking everything into consideration. And Krishna really shows in so many different ways. And then at the end of showing all these different ways, then at the end he said, okay, anyway, you also have this nature, and so you are compelled to act also in this way. But this, I would say, is more of it's something that comes so that of being a friend, I feel they can, okay, yes, anyway, you told me already so many different things or so many different options, and now you're telling me yes, then I'm going to do it anyway. And I don't know, I would feel just better. I don't know. Yes.
So this point is simple. I just want to kind of put a thought which just came to my mind to look at this verse from a very different perspective.
Hmm.
So if you see the whole of Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna is kind of trying to tell Arjuna, or trying to tell us, all the jivas, our constitutional position, that we are all eternal servants of Krishna. And in this verse he says, if you do not act according to my direction, that you don't understand your constitutional position, that you are the eternal servants of me, and you should surrender to me, then it's false direction, and the false leading our life. But then he says, by your nature, by the nature of the soul, you will do it anyway, because that's the nature of your soul. That's the nature of the jiva, to be the eternal servant of the Lord.
Hmm.
So if you're not my servant, you will then end up being servant of something else.
Mm-hmm.
You would end up being servant of, let's say, Maya, for example. That's your eternal nature anyway. So he's just looking this verse not from a Kshatriya warfare perspective, but more from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. So to paraphrase it also for the ones that are looking, so you're saying to see it from another perspective, the jivas are have eternal relationship to God, and Krishna wants to remind him his constitutional position, and anyway we are eternal servants of God, and either he will we will listen to what his direction, and we will serve his will, or we will be by our nature of the soul of being eternal servants anyway, we have to serve his energy in the form of Maya. Yeah.
So the whole of Bhagavad-gītā, I know it's 1856, he just puts it there, surrender to me and I'll take care.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of reinforcing that fact again.
Mm-hmm.
That that's your nature. That's what you are. You are the eternal servant. You have to serve somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's your nature.
Yes.
So if you don't surrender to me, then it will be false leading.
Mm-hmm. Very, very nice. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yes, so just to repeat, that also in 1866, I think you meant 1866, yeah? Oh, 56? No, this is 66, yeah. Anyway, like Krishna is saying to surrendering to Arjuna, and this verse especially is kind of like taken from another point of view. The same thing that he's going to say, which is the central part of Bhagavad-gītā, this verse of surrendering and totally to him. So it's just reinstating the point. This one. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
I think this verse is kind of a final ultimatum to Arjuna, saying that the whole Bhagavad-gītā is like explaining, you surrender to me, I take care of everything. But at the end, he's like saying, well, you don't have any other option. You don't have any other choice. I've been telling you to hold your nose like this. If you don't hold your nose like this, I will make it that you hold it like this.
Yes.
You don't have any other choice by virtue of the total.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it really sounds like that. Yes. Yeah. And since you are, just to repeat, Sushmita Mataji says that it seems that it seems like the final hit from Krishna after saying the whole Bhagavad-gītā, that you don't have much other options. So it's better if you listen to me, because otherwise I will make you do the same actions, just in another different way. Yeah. Yes, this is absolutely it. And that's why he really but since he has this loving relationship with him, and he loves so much Arjun, he said, yes, but please, do it in the proper consciousness. Just do it and elevate yourself, and do it from this higher perspective, and do not degrade yourself, because otherwise I will force you, but it's not going to be a good result for yourself. Yeah. Right.
He could have ensured that the war never happened in the first place. It was his will that was done.
Yes. Yeah. Are there some other questions, some other thoughts, comments? Sanjay Prabhu's point. Sanjay Prabhu's point on the first question. Yeah, he was saying that it is on the. I hope it doesn't come out of the altar angry. It is on the section in which about Krishna is talking about surrender to the super soul. So he says here that that is also somehow hinting to surrender to the super soul, and to himself acting, to himself advising from within also. Sanjay Prabhu? I don't know if I paraphrase it. Was it? Or something?
No, but I was having one thought that actually in the
Please.
beginning of the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna tried a quick fix. He just told Arjuna, what about you? You're an Aryan.
Oh yes.
Don't be coward. Just get up and break. Actually, he did that first.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And yeah, it was just a thought coming to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, then Grantara Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimhadeva Bhagavan ki. Thank you all for coming. Hare Krishna.